Well, hello there. I know many of you may know me and have gotten used to hearing and reading what I put out there as a resource to you as a nonprofit leader. But as we come to the end of 2024, I just wanted to take a little moment and kind of reflect and look forward. So today, as I think about reflecting, I think back to actually late 2019. I was on a cruise with my family and had found just lots of space to think and imagine and dream. And that was coming to me in the form of ideas that I was jotting in a journal. And those ideas were about how I felt I could serve nonprofits beyond the one that I was currently working in. And I was so inspired. My creativity was flowing. But when I returned to my job late that year, in December of 2019, I just kind of took that journal and put it up on a shelf. And all those ideas just went up on a shelf because I returned to a job that I loved and was very fulfilled in, and just didn't see that those things were necessary. But a few short months later, as we all know, in 2020, the world sort of shut down. And I began to get calls and Zoom invites to meet with nonprofits leaders and just to talk to them about financial questions and challenges and things that they weren't sure of in this really uncertain time. And as I did that, I began to realize that that journal, it wasn't about me, it was about them. And I took it off the shelf because I really realized that everything I had wrote in that journal was about how to serve nonprofits. And as I put my eyes on them, couldn't help but make that change. So I transitioned from my full-time job. I had been there for about 20 years, and I then began to serve in a consulting capacity a greater number of nonprofits. Well, when I started out, I thought, well, this is just, a solo act. It'll just be me, just me serving nonprofits one on one. And what I realized is there was a greater need than what I could keep up with. And I had my eyes on serving, my eyes on those that I could serve, but I also had to guard my own capacity. And so in 2024, I'm super excited because my capacity was enlarged for the first time as this business leader at this great and important organization that I'm leading. And it was enlarged by adding probably the best person I could have added, a person who is been a leader in my life since the day I was born. Yes, that's true. That's my sister. And so I'm so excited to announce, for those of you who haven't yet met her, that my sister came on in the business in 2024 as the chief operating officer, and she has greatly enlarged my capacity and what we're doing to include so many new things. So, with that, I want to introduce her.
Oh, thank you, sis. I have to say, over all of the years of us growing up together, you have truly led up. You're a remarkable leader. And I'll never forget the day you started that conversation with me. And there was so much resonance. A couple of factors were playing into the timing and the purpose of that. One is I'd served 7 years at a church and 30 years in ministry. So over all of those years, we had talked and dreamed, and we would often say we're solving the world's problems because we just love to think together. And we are two sides of the coin. So we appreciate those differences in each other, but also find great traction and mission in really thinking about and helping people. At the same time, in our personal lives, we are in this unique season of having aging parents and young children. So we knew to live out our purpose and calling, we also needed to find the place where all of those values could be honored, both in who God created us to be and also in serving and ministering to our families. So it was a best yes for me. And I'm so thankful. It's truly a dream come true. And of course, in recapping and summarizing a year, one of the things that you think about is where did I grow personally? I'm a gardener
Mm.
and I think about how from one season to the next, I look at the growth in what I grow. And that's how thriving is defined. And so there's been a tremendous amount of personal growth in my life that I just love to share as we reflect on what's happened this year. I came to this place about the same time the changes were happening, starting with work with you, and that's where my sense of responsibility and my sense of control were
Mm.
bumping into each other. And I quickly had to wrestle through, does being responsible mean that you control something? That was a powerful question. And as I reflected on it in the year and really became really proud of learning the art of surrender and letting go in every area of my life, even the responsibility I feel in serving you and our clients and the people God's called us to and my family, and realizing God can take control of those things along with my responsibility, and I don't have to bear the weight of all of that, has just unleashed so much life and freedom. I know it's a lifelong journey, but I can truly say that surrendering this year has been the most um, significant personal growth in my life. So I know you have some too. Let's hear.
Wow. Well, I actually feel like I grew so much this year. And on a personal growth note, I think we could spend an hour and probably not exhaust all of those things. But I think one that I think of really kind of similar to what you're talking about, in the sense that it was a letting go, was for me the letting go of getting overly anxious or worked up about something that in a lot of cases had not happened. And so just that place of kind of reminding myself, I kind of termed a little saying that I use, which is to tell myself, it will all work out. It always does. Because
Mm,
something can feel really big in the moment, and yet even 24 hours later, it just doesn't feel as big. 24 months later, it really doesn't feel that big. And well, because we've lived a little while, 24 years later, it might not even be something you remember. And so I just have really embraced this place of telling myself that it will always work out. It always does.
mm. Such great faith. What a good foundation to have.
For sure. It's been life changing. So, well, and I think the other thing we wanted to share today is just as we think about even the business successes of 2024, want to kind of look back and share some of those successes. And the one that I think about as it relates to the clients I've had the opportunity to serve on a one on one basis, which is the part of our business that we refer to as fractional CFO or fractional finance director work, which is basically where we come into an organization as that strategic voice that's a partner with them in the decision making and the planning process, and really help to make sure that the eyes are on the finances. And so it's called fractional because, well, we're not there full time. So it saves them the resources of hiring a full time person. And it really is kind of at a fraction of the cost. So that fractional CFO work that we're doing, some of the greatest successes I saw this year really were across all of them. And what I saw was that 2024 was an interest rate, a high interest rate environment. And yes, that resulted in increased cost to us as individuals, so the pain of prices going up. Also to nonprofits, the increase in the cost of items that they had to buy to run their ministries and their nonprofits. But it created an opportunity that really could have been easily missed, and that is to leverage that high interest rate environment for income. So what do I mean? Well, in every one of the nonprofits that I worked with this last year, we were able to take a look at their strategic needs with the resources they have. I'm talking specifically to cash. So they had cash. They weren't using it all every day. They obviously had cash balances in the bank. And so we were able to look at how do we make sure those funds stay available for when they need them? How do we make sure that they're secure or federally insured, is really was the goal in all of those cases. And yet, how do we leverage that high interest rate environment? And we did that using some tools that were available just given the economic conditions. And I'm so happy to report that in all of the nonprofits that we worked with this year, there was a tremendous interest income earned. And what that means is those resources were available to put right back into their mission. And that to me is like a huge win. So I'm celebrating that I could really see that without having someone like me at the table, those were opportunities that likely would have been missed. And so it's kind of exciting to show up and be who you are and realize that you can help in a way that is necessary and valuable to nonprofits.
You are a master at turning lemons into lemonade. I love
Whoop
it.
whoop. Thank you. That's
Way
really
to
cool.
think through the opportunity and make it a reality.
Oh, it was really fun and very unique for each one of them, but we achieved that goal. The other thing that really happened this year because of you, I want to say, the capacity that I had as a solopreneur was limited. But as Denise joined the team in the middle of the year in May, so many things started gaining momentum. And one of them was to offer something that would reach the smaller nonprofits who maybe weren't in a place to have the resources to invest in a one-on-one fractional relationship, or maybe just were in a growth stage where they weren't there, they didn't have the need for that yet. And so really exciting that in October we launched the Masters Circle, which is a membership community, includes a monthly conversation call with us and with the rest of the community to talk through some incredible things we've covered in the months that we've been enjoying that community. We've covered the life cycle of a nonprofit and how finances look different, how governance looks different as you grow and even reinvent and mature yourself. And the other thing that we covered was a very inspirational year-end checklist. Been on those Zoom calls at the end of the year with lots of, to do, end of the year checklist. And yes, those things are important, but boy, we dropped some nuggets of some opportunities for our nonprofits in that community to do some inspirational things that can leverage their vision and their impact and their fundraising at the end of the year. So that was so fun, and I'm loving that community. It's growing daily, and it's just really exciting to see that we can reach nonprofits in many different ways. And so I've loved that about not just a one size fits all or a one option approach, but offering both of these things now has been so fun and so exciting to see what's ahead.
Yeah, I imagine when we do our 2025 recap, we'll have many stories of those master circle leaders who are
Mm,
just gaining momentum and landing in places they never envisioned for
mm,
their year. So I'm
yeah.
excited what 1 year of planting those seeds will look like.
That long-term perspective, it sure is life-giving, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I had really spent a lot of time on in 2024, and it hasn't been visible to the nonprofits that are out there in the world to be served and that we are serving, is that I invested a ton of time to take a master course that I had been kind of test piloting and have formalized it into an A to Z kind of master course called the Financially Thriving Nonprofit. And it's a master course, and it is going to be available in 2025. But it was a tremendous act of love and sacrifice. I've probably not spent nearly that amount of time writing and thinking and creating and then recording. But it was so much done with the heart of every person who would be viewing it behind that video, that I just felt like all day long I was just giving and pouring and investing into them through this course. And so I'm excited for it to become available and be in the world in 2025.
For my seat, I liken it to bringing a baby into the world. It's like your baby. And, one of the things I know about nonprofit leadership is whether it's your education, your training, credentialing, or whatever you go through, it often does not cover the area of finance or
Mm,
leadership. So you are answering the most important need to get from where someone
wow,
is in their vision to reality. This builds the bridge to that gap that
wow,
often needs to move a leader along in their growth as a nonprofit. So
wow.
I think it's Mastering the money, which is the side of nonprofit leadership that often gets overlooked because you're full of vision and you think, oh, my vision will carry me through. Well, there's some practical things, whether it's protecting your nonprofit or it's strategically thinking through a year that's difficult or challenging. I mean, there's nothing that can prepare you greater than this resource that you've put together with all those
Mm.
years of experience and wisdom. It is invaluable.
There were times in that process where I discounted. I think that, imposter syndrome sort of snuck in and thought, oh, no one's going to care about this. This is invaluable. And I think the aha for me was when the production guy that was helping with the recording, he during a break in our recording shared with me that his mother had a nonprofit and someone had stolen over $10,000 from her. And he asked, how much are you going to price your course at? Because he said his point was, you are giving so many golden nuggets, like someone going through this could prevent losing $10,000, which of course isn't going to be priced at $10,000. But his point was, it's very valuable. And it was just the affirmation I needed in that moment. He really just spoke and connected my heart's need to know that it was worth it, that it was going to serve many nonprofits in a very powerful and tangible way. So that was
Well,
exciting.
thank you, Teresa, for reminding us that we can all face imposter syndromes.
I've had a lot of it this year. I've had a lot of it, but keep going every day. So well, another thought that I have on my mind and really in my heart is just something that I ran across as I've been reading. The last couple of years, I've really devoted myself to just reading the scriptures in the Bible daily, and I'm always surprised at the nuggets that'll just pop out at me. And so I want to share one with you. I was reading in Romans 16. And I read this scripture. It says, I commend to you our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the church in Centuria. I think I said that right. I ask you to receive her in the Lord in a way worthy of his people and to give her any help she may need from you, for she has been the benefactor of many people, including me. Well, what happened when I read that is I saw the word benefactor and I thought, oh, I want to know more about this because benefactors help to fund things. And as a nonprofit finance person, we're talking a lot about how to get the resources to fund things. And so I thought, whoa, Phoebe, I want to know more about her. And as I dug in and I researched and I learned more about her, here's what I would summarize I came to find about her. She was a female deaconess in her local church, and she used her influence and her resources, money, to care for people and spreading the gospel. Well, her example inspired me to be reminded about how what I'm doing is all about helping nonprofits leverage the opportunities that God has given us to do the same thing. And so it's our desire, it's my desire at the core of who I am to make sure that we're helping you steward well what you've been entrusted with and to master that money so that you can move your mission forward. I kind of think in a way, I thought, let me be Phoebe. Would Phoebe be here? Let me say it another way. Would Phoebe be alive in me in 2025? That I want the spirit of who she is, or was, and what she did to just live through me as we serve nonprofits this year.
I'm with you, Teresa. Nonprofit philanthropy. Just seeing the people have the dream and being a part of resourcing it to reality
Mm.
and seeing their visions move forward. What a remarkable gift that we get to do that.
Yes, yes. And as I think about moving forward, think about 2025, and we've talked about some of those things, the Master Circle membership community growing and thriving and full of nonprofits, just supporting and encouraging and just embracing a focus on finances to move their missions forward. We've talked about the financially thriving nonprofit master course coming in the beginning of 2025, and just to put into the hands of so many people that A to Z guide, whether they're just getting started, whether they're stuck, or maybe they're mature organizations that need to make sure and not assume things, but revisit them. I just can't wait for that. There's another thing, though, that I'm really excited about, which is that as the business started with just me serving nonprofits and a fractional CFO role, it was limited to me and my time and my ability. And of course, with Denise, my capacity was greatly enlarged. I want to say thank you, sis. You have absolutely allowed me to thrive in where my gifts and talents are, while I have invited you to bring all of your gifts and talents. And the momentum is amazing. And so I look forward to 2025. And one of the things that's going to be happening is we're going to be adding team members. So our first team member will be coming on in 2025. That enlarges the capacity to serve more clients. Our first fractional CFO team member, let me clarify, will be coming on in 2025. And that will just enlarge the capacity to serve more nonprofits on a one-on-one basis. So some things in my mind I think I need to share, which is I was on a call just this last week with the nonprofit in our community who I've had a long relationship with. I've even served on their board. And in this call about RAMP, which is an expense management solution that we were exploring together, I came to learn that they were in a place where they really needed what I would call a fractional CFO. They needed a strategic financial voice at their table to start to think about some expansion opportunities that they've been invited to explore and are unsure of how to navigate because they don't understand the money side of them. And so I kind of raised my hand and said, that's what I do. And so we're having a conversation about their grant and budget cycle as to when that might become a reality. But that experience reminded me that as we tell people, hey, fractional CFO services are going to be available, a greater number of clients can come on in 2025, that some people may not realize what that is. And so I just wanted to make sure that we shared that in 2025, if you're in a place where you're needing someone with a strategic eye for finances at your side as a part of your team, whether it's at the board or the executive leader level, I want to remind you that that's what we're here to do and that the capacity has enlarged. And so opportunities are available. And I'd love to explore them with you if you are thinking that might be something that would work for you. So that's a pretty exciting 2025 thing. I look forward to more and more. As I thought about client success stories, I had a long list. I just can't wait to see how those opportunities will open even new doors to have and serve nonprofits in the new year.
Wow. Well, as we look to 2025, we really wanted to give a heartfelt response to what it has been like for us to serve you all this year. We anticipate a remarkable growth in a very historic time
Mm.
where nonprofits will thrive. We anticipate the conditions are very ripe for things that have been unimaginable in the future. This past year has been a time of preparation, a time of preparing us to seize the opportunities that are ahead. And what we want to extend to you is a very heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has placed their trust in us, whether it was through learning in a video, through the opportunities to come alongside in strategic conversations. You've trusted us with your vision, your dream, your calling, and we don't take that lightly. We also have a great sense of humility and excitement as we eagerly step into the new year and make ready to have a greater impact together. So we really want to wish you a happy new year.
Happy New Year. We'll see you again real soon.